And welcome to the Lyons Share podcast. This is your host, Mitch Lyons. As always, this episode brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com. Check us out for a lot of free resources, including my book, Retirement of Steel, movie, The Retirement Deception, all of them free on the website, along with our newsletter. So go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Today's episode is my Lions on Lions analysis of the Detroit Lions ball game yesterday against the Washington Commanders. And this game's going to be known really and recognized for the game that Dan Campbell took over play calling duties. The offense had been a little inconsistent. It was taking some arrows from fans and media, not being as consistent as it had been over the last couple of years. And DC took it over, and everybody saw him with his play sheet and his readers on, much like me, looking over his readers at the play sheet. He's getting up there. He needs a little help. He didn't maybe look as tough with his readers on, but the reality of it is he took over, and boy, what a result! Over 500 yards of offense, 44 points on the board. They scored on their first 8 possessions. Just crazy efficient and running the ball, passing the ball, mixing it around. Jameson Williams hadn't even caught a pass in the first half, ends up leading them in catches and yards with a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, another great game. Montgomery had a fine game running the ball as well. So just looked really good. And that's not an easy decision to make. You've got your guy that you hired to be your offensive coordinator, John Morton, and then to rip that from him, ego wise, that's a bit of a hit to the ego for any offensive coordinator. So, and Dan tipped his cap to him and said he's a team guy and all that. But there's hopefully he is, because that's a tough spot. Basically get demoted mid-season. So, and I don't think you go back from this. I mean, Dan's going to be calling plays going forward. I don't think it's something that you just go forward. Is it just because Dan called plays? No, because I've said this all along. It's not always about the X's and O's. It's about the Johnny and Joes, and guys have to execute the plays, right? You can have the best play drawn up in the world, but if one of your 11 guys out there drops the ball, doesn't run the right route, misses a block, the whole thing's blown up. So number one, yes, I'll give Dan some credit for play calling, but hey, this team played better. The offensive line played better. They kept Goff pretty clean. They opened up holes in the run game. We didn't see that last week. We couldn't run the ball against the Vikings. And tip of your cap to Brian Flores and the Vikings, because they got it done last week against us. But yesterday the Lions took care of business, and to be fair, it was against a team that maybe wasn't one of the league leaders in defense in any major category. So they did what they should have done. But, and I say this all the time, make no apologies for who you're playing on Sunday. You can say, I know some people say, well, the Lions haven't really played anybody. They got lucky when they played the Bengals because Burrow was out. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Lamar Jackson was out when we played the Ravens. Listen, no one's given us any, flowers for having guys hurt. Nobody was, taking it easy on us last year when we had 20 guys on injured reserve at the end of the year. So you make no apologies. It's hard to win games in the NFL. And you saw that yesterday. I mean, the Bills go down to Miami and get hammered by a reeling Dolphins team. And a Carolina Panthers, a team that's kind of been resurgent in the playoff hunt, and they play the worst team in football, the New Orleans Saints, and they take one on the chin. So there are no guarantees on Sundays in the NFL. So you don't have to make apologies for who you beat or how you beat them. You just got to get a win. And I don't care how ugly, how pretty it is. You got to get a win. Yesterday's win, pretty good. I thought the defense, at times I thought they were a little soft, but, they gave up only 22 points. If this team gives up 22 points and our offense takes care of business like it should with the weapons that we have, that's going to be enough to win, 90% of the games that you're playing. So take care of the rock on offense, keep moving the chains, and use the weapons effectively that we have, because we are loaded. We have more weapons than anybody in the league. Two great running backs, a plethora of receivers, a great quarterback, a tremendous tight end. You're really seeing LaPorta play a bigger role, which is nice, because he had a bit of a quiet year last year. He was a bit of a forgotten commodity, but he seems to be resurging here in Jared Goff's eyes. He's getting the ball a lot more, and I like it. The guy is a first down maker. He's good after the catch. Doesn't drop very many, and he's good in the run game too, which is huge at the tight end position. So, here's where we are. We're 9 games into the season for the Lions. They're in second place as it stands now. Green Bay is leading the division at 5-2-1. Detroit and the Bears are 6-3, and now Minnesota's fallen to 4-5 after taking a loss yesterday. Tonight's game, Green Bay and Philadelphia, it's a big game. That's a big one. Obviously, obviously you'd like to see Green Bay lose there just for division purposes. But if they do lose, Philly, who's 6-2, would be a game ahead of Detroit at 7-2, but they play each other next week, which is a huge game. Now we're getting in the second half of the season. These are big; they're all big, but this one has some real significance next week in terms of playoff positioning. Because if the Lions went into that game, a game behind them, and you can win that, that's huge because that's like 2 wins almost because you get the tiebreaker over the Eagles when it comes to playoff. Positioning too. And again, I've kind of said all year, I really don't care about home field, and I mean that when I say that. We've had home field, we've lost at the home field. This team's good on the road. They're built for the road. They're mentally tough. I don't think the road affects them. Obviously for fans' standpoint, obviously it'd be great to have a home playoff game or multiple home playoff games, but not as worried about that as I am just about having us healthy when the playoffs roll around, unlike last year. And at the end of the day, you turn the ball over 5 times like you did against the Commanders in the playoffs last year. You're not going to win a game in the playoffs anyway. So, fluke game last year. But hey, let's stay healthy. Let's keep ascending in terms of how we're playing. You saw that yesterday. Now let's keep it going. Let's stack a few of these offensive performances together, and we'll see. But I think right now we're pretty healthy. Hopefully, we'll get Kirby Joseph back in the secondary, which I think will be a big help. He's a ball hawk back there. But I thought the defense was good enough to win. The offense was fantastic. So we'll see. We've got a big week this week. Be interested in this game tonight, Philly and Green Bay in Green Bay, big one for both clubs. And then again, we head to Philly next week. So then and try to keep the big momentum going. So. But anyway, that's my analysis of the Detroit Lions. As always, again, brought to you by MitchLionsWealth.com. Check us out. If you like this, subscribe, share it, and we will look forward to talking next week about the Lions and Eagles game as well. Take care.